Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Trebas Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Well, the Gaslamp's biggest draw is back for a new baseball season. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. It's a time of transition for the San Diego Padres with the team up for sale. But today, it's all about what's happening on the field and at Petco Park. And that is where KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer is live tonight. He has more on the opening day and the game that just wrapped up. Hi, Jacob.
Hi there, Maya. We're here at Petco Park where, unfortunately, fans were treated to a bit of an unfortunate opening day. They ended up losing to the Detroit Tigers 8-2, but still, in the stands, around the ballpark, and on the field, there's a lot of excitement in the air for the new baseball season. There were both players and fans here early this morning, and we had a chance to catch up with some of them ahead of opening day.
Today, like, the energy is here. Like, everybody comes together to visit the first game of the season. I feel like almost like a playoff atmosphere, honestly.
The Padres began the 2026 season this afternoon against the Detroit Tigers in front of a massive crowd at Petco Park.
So this is my opening day jersey. I only wear this jersey on opening day, and it's about, I got it in 25, so it's 20 years in the making. Got jerseys, got patches on it, but the real labor of love is the back.
There were plenty of diehard Padres fans to be found.
It means a lot. Like, I requested work off maybe like 3 days ago, a week ago, and I'm just like excited to be here. This is my 4th year in a row, and I just can't wait to get inside.
I love the vibe here. I love Petco Park.
Mother and son Letty and Manny Miranda were here long before the gates to the park even opened. But it's a bit of a family rivalry. Letty is a Dodgers fan, but sometimes she roots for the Padres.
I really hope the Padres win. Yeah, I know. Seriously, I do. Because when we're not playing, I root for the Padres at home.
In the clubhouse ahead of the game, star third baseman Manny Machado said he has one main expectation for the season.
Health. I think that's the most important part, just health. Go out there and be healthy and play some healthy baseball.
There are a few new offerings for this year, including upgraded scoreboards and new food and drink options. But outside the ballpark, there are also some changes. That includes the city's increased game day parking meter rates. Within a half-mile of the ballpark, it'll cost you $10 an hour to park at a meter. Cesar Luna says he usually takes the more affordable option, public transit.
$10 an hour charge, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think about
I don't like it. It's not for the people.
As for what fans are expecting from this season, his sister Ari Luna has some lofty expectations.
I mean, hopefully we can, win the playoffs and, actually win a ring this time.
The Padres play a best-of-3 series against the Detroit Tigers that wraps up this Saturday. Then they'll continue their homestand, playing against the San Francisco Giants early next week. Reporting live from Petco Park, Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
And there's one more note about getting to the games this season. The North County Transit District says it will offer more coaster trips. A designated train will depart from Santa Fe Depot 1 hour after games end. Transfers to MTS trolleys are included with purchase of a coaster ticket. An investigation from one of our Public Matters media partners is now the focus of a lawsuit from California's Attorney General. Rob Bonta alleges sham charities were diverting money raised from work at concession stands. Voice of San Diego published the initial story in 2023. Today's lawsuit filed in San Diego County names 6 individuals and 3 organizations. The state alleges nearly $4 million in revenue was diverted. The work involved concession stands at Petco Park and Snapdragon Stadium. Charges include conspiracy, fraud, and other violations. San Diego International Airport reported security wait times of 15 to 30 minutes today, which the TSA says is normal. We've seen much longer lines at airports in other parts of the country as agents continue to work without pay. As Karen Kafa reports, a funding solution might have to wait as Congress begins a 2-week vacation.
After some midweek relief, Thursday brought another frustrating day at some of the nation's biggest airports. And passengers are bracing for another tough weekend.
It's frustrating, sure, but it doesn't do any good to be angry at anybody or be hateful to anybody because these people are working without pay.
Nearly 6 weeks since Department of Homeland Security funding lapsed, TSA workers are approaching another missed paycheck on Friday.
Just now worked 4 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and still not getting paid for it. Fun stuff.
Lawmakers still at odds are on the cusp of a 2-week recess scheduled to begin Friday. On Thursday, President Donald Trump again laid shutdown blame on Democrats.
They're punishing the American people, including travelers at airports.
Senate Democrats on Wednesday rejected a GOP proposal to withhold money for federal immigration enforcement, but without any policy changes.
I think cooler heads need to prevail.
Meanwhile, TSA said more than 3,000 officers nationwide didn't show up for work on Wednesday. Wait times at Houston's Bush Intercontinental Airport climbed around 4 hours early Thursday. At New York's LaGuardia, the wait time in one general security line was nearly 2 hours. And in Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson, ICE agents walked along snaking security lines and checked passenger IDs. TSA agents are among 61,000 DHS employees working without pay, including employees of the Coast Guard, Secret Service, and Federal Emergency Management Agency. In Washington, Karen Kafa, KPBS News.
The U.S. Army is expanding who can enlist to serve, at least when it comes to their age. Next month, the maximum age will jump to 42. That's 7 years higher than the current limit of 35. The change brings the Army's age limit closer to the Navy's, which is 41. The Army is also easing some rules on marijuana convictions as a barrier to entry. Some California lawmakers are proposing legislation to stop taxing military retirement pay. KPBS Military and Veterans Affairs reporter Andrew Dyer says similar efforts over the years have failed.
On the flight deck of the USS Midway Museum, a coalition of lawmakers and advocates say they want to give military retirees more incentives to stay in California.
Veterans are a major part of our local economy here.
Democratic State Senator Catherine Blake Spears' 38th district includes Camp Pendleton. She says the bill would bring California in line with other states.
The fact that we are one of the only states that taxes a military retirement pay means that we have a lot of veterans that are leaving the state to live in other places, and they really form the fabric of this community and have businesses and other connections to the state of California, and California's better off if we keep them living here.
Last year, the state passed legislation eliminating state income tax for the first $20,000 of retirement and survivor benefit pay. Senate Bill 1407 would lift that $20,000 cap. Democratic State Senator Bob Archuleta helped write the bipartisan bill.
1407 sends a message, sends it to California, sends it to our leadership, it sends it to our veterans. We value your service, we value your commitment to California, and we value the future that you give California.
If enacted, the state franchise tax board estimates lost revenue of $100 million the first year and $65 million per year afterwards. Blake Spears says that cost would be offset by incentivizing military retirees to stay in California.
Many people retire from the military and then they go on to get other jobs, second jobs. So if we did exempt this, we would be able to keep those people, and then we would have revenue coming in from the second job. So, it could end up actually resulting in more money.
Several versions of this state income tax cut have failed to make it through the legislature over the last few years. Andrew Dyer, KPBS News.
California Western School of Law is relaunching its Innocence and Justice Clinic. KPBS reporter Katie Hyson looked into what their work means for people in San Diego's justice system.
Lightning strikes anywhere, any place, at any given time. So does injustice.
Miguel Solorio spent 25 years in prison for a murder he didn't commit.
The feeling being in there, it's like being stranded in the middle of the ocean, right? And you're hoping and praying that a plane or a boat, a submarine or something passes by to rescue you from the midst of the middle ocean and bring you to safety.
For Solorio, that boat was an innocence project in Northern California. They helped exonerate him in 2023. He came to the California Western Innocence and Justice Clinic relaunch Wednesday night. After a change in leadership, there was a public misperception that the clinic had closed. That's according to a supervising attorney for the clinic, Lindsay Mercer. She says they relaunched in part
to say, no, we didn't close. We're here. We are continuing the work and the legacy of this clinic.
She says the clinic's needed because the justice system is run by humans, and there's a big fundamental flaw.
You're supposed to be innocent till proven guilty, but often in the system, you're guilty till proven innocent.
Clinic leaders say they received more than 1,100 pieces of mail last year asking for help. Their wait list is about 200 people long. The vast majority are Black or Latino, usually from lower-income neighborhoods. The clinic relies on donations and students like Nerly Bates-Gray and Diana Wong.
We joke that, like, you know, in the law movies where there's like that whole like 2-minute montage of like where they're like reading trial transcripts and like discovery, and then it's the big courtroom scene. Yeah. It's like that 2-minute montage is what we spend most of our time doing. Yeah. But it really is. It's so fun, and it doesn't feel like work because like you get so invested in the cases, and you're so passionate about it that you just kind of don't want to stop.
Both plan to be public defenders after they graduate. That pipeline is a key part of the clinic's mission. Whether their students end up as defenders or prosecutors or judges, they'll bring with them an understanding that the lightning of injustice can strike anyone. Katie Hyson, KPBS News.
UC San Diego confirms reporting by the New York Times that its medical school is under investigation by the Department of Justice. The investigation reportedly focuses on potential racial bias in admissions. UCSD, Stanford, and Ohio State Universities all received demands for admission data and any internal messaging around diversity, equity, and inclusion, also known as DEI. The New York Times reports the schools have until April 24th to comply or face potential cuts to federal funding. In a statement to KPBS, UCSD says it's reviewing the notice and is committed to fair processes in all of its programs. This has been a significant week for justice when it comes to social media and how it affects users. 2 landmark rulings are holding major platforms accountable for negligent and deceptive practices. Brian Abel has reaction from experts on what comes next.
A wake-up call for social media.
I had to cut down my time on social media because it was getting to my head, and it's not healthy.
Juries in California and New Mexico this week finding that Meta, the parent company of Instagram and Facebook, and Google's YouTube bore responsibility for harm to young users.
People within these companies knew that these were, they performed internal studies, and they knew that these were the results to children due to usage of their platform.
Both companies say they plan to appeal, but these first-of-their-kind decisions mark a critical moment of accountability after years of concern by parents, advocates, lawmakers, and whistleblowers. The verdicts also provide a reference for how to use evidence against social media companies in future litigation.
There's more than 1,000 cases that now are going to be able to wield that as a sword that is absolutely going to carve up and change, I think, social media for all time.
With mounting legal and political pressure, industry experts say big tech will need to make big changes in order to keep business running.
All these big tech companies have to implement changes, and not just because they're being fined, but because the regulations being brought about are much worse than anything else that can happen to them.
And experts say these verdicts may push people to rethink how they use social media now that it's been ruled harmful to children and teens.
I'm so scared of how addicted I am to short-form content.
In Washington, Brian Abel reporting.
A recent series by KPBS dives heavily into the use of smartphones by young people and how parents can set boundaries. It's called Screen Time, and you can find it wherever you get your podcasts and at kpbs.org. Karama presents the 15th annual San Diego Arab Film Festival, taking place this Friday and Saturday with an additional weekend in April at the Museum of Photographic Arts. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando previews the festival.
While so much of what's happening now is about dividing people and emphasizing differences, film has the ability to bring people together, helping us appreciate our shared humanity.
So our mission has always been to use film as a bridge.
to connect audiences with genuine Arab stories and perspectives. There's still a lot of misunderstanding about the region and the people, and film is one of the most powerful ways to humanize these experiences.
Jeanette Abadi is a board member of the San Diego Arab Film Festival.
One thing that we really try to emphasize is that the Arab world isn't one monolithic thing.
So there are films from around the globe tackling a variety of themes. The Voice of Hind Rajab marks a collaboration across multiple countries, including Tunisia, France, the Palestinian territories, and the United Kingdom. But the story itself is very narrowly focused.
A 6-year-old Palestinian girl in Gaza whose voice was recorded in a phone call with the Red Cross while she was trapped in a car. Basically, the film centers around her voice, and it asks the audience to bear witness to that situation.
Stories based on real events also inspire Friday night's already sold-out screening of Palestine 36.
We are looking for armed bandits who've been disturbing the settlers.
This is my little brother. He hasn't done anything.
It's a historical drama about a 1936 Palestinian revolt against British rule, explains Larry Christian, chair of the San Diego Arab Film Festival Committee.
Showing a historical context helps people to understand the identity, the motivation, and to emphasize with the experience of Arab people.
The festival wants to challenge people's expectation about the Arab world and Arab films. And while connecting to a broader audience is key, it also wants to bring together the Arab community in San Diego.
The community feels itself under attack, and we want to provide a way for the community to get together and celebrate itself.
You can join the celebration and enjoy Arab food this weekend and again in April with the San Diego Arab Film Festival. Also in theaters this weekend are a pair of fabulous films at Digital Gem Cinema. First, the Oscar-winning Surat, which follows a father searching for his missing daughter. It takes some brutal turns and has an amazing sound design that deserves to be appreciated in a cinema. Lighter fare can be found in the documentary Lumière, le cinéma, about the pioneering French brothers.
130 years ago, the Lumière brothers invented the cinematograph.
And if you're looking for something gorgeous that pops off the screen, check out the Digital Gem Cinema staff pick from Holly, Jacques Demi's The Young Girls of Rochefort. This effervescent Valentine to old MGM musicals offers a perfect escape from the real world. So plenty of cinematic offerings to tempt you off your couch. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
Some great recommendations there from Beth. But the film industry is dealing with the rise of artificial intelligence. Signs of the change are popping up more frequently in Los Angeles, including along the 101 freeway. Lauren Posen tells us about the debate over AI and what it means for jobs in Hollywood.
Inspired by the iconic Hollywood sign, this 30-foot display is sending a message to Tinseltown. AI is here, and it comes at a fraction of the cost.
I think it's a super interesting opportunity for both creators who can come and take these tools and then facilitate and make ads or branded content for the mom and pop shop, the small startup that otherwise never would have these resources.
AI director Billy Bowman is the name behind the sign.
You can't miss it. A lot of people have been asking, who the hell is Billy Bowman?
He's one of the directors for hire on Fiverr, the online freelance marketplace, which just launched an AI video hub, helping small businesses create high-quality videos without Hollywood-sized budgets. But this comes at a time when not all of Hollywood is embracing this next chapter and what it means for the industry.
About the reaction, it's true. This is a revolution, and in every big change, there's a resistance, initial resistance. But the more time passes and the more technology evolves, the resistance turns into sort of curiosity.
AI was one of the reasons why SAG-AFTRA and the Writers Guild went on strike in 2023.
You are not possibly putting people out of jobs. Hundreds of thousands of employees in the entertainment industry are without work right now.
Some, though, are confident AI can't match what humans bring to the story.
At the end of the day, like, the camera is my tool, not AI. So I think it's a stretch to think that art is going to be replaced by humans that, can look you in the eye and ask you a question.
Bowman says the goal is to merge the two and create together.
It's not about spending less on budget, it's about spending more on imagination.
Well, we're still on the warmer side to end the week, especially our inland areas. That's where we still have temperatures at least close to records in certain spots. But next week, everything changes, and it's to start the week. We're tracking rain chances, especially starting Tuesday. But let's talk a little bit more about the short term first. So overall tonight, we're in the 40s in Escondido, 50s for Oceanside and San Diego, 50s from Borrego Springs to Mount Laguna as well. We look ahead to tomorrow. Some of us have more sunshine than others, especially, well, a lot of us seeing some of the clouds, things a little bit worse closer to the coast. 88 in Ramona, 73 in San Diego, though we're close to 100 once again in Borrego Springs, but the 60s once we get to Mount Laguna. Here's the pattern change that I was talking about. So we've had this big ridge of high pressure just parked over the southwest. The last couple of days it shifted east, and really, I mean, yesterday it was pretty much over Texas, and that is the trend for today as well. As we get towards next week, things continue to shift to the east. So we get a new pattern that allows for systems to move in, and that is going to bring system after system after system next week, but it also drops our temperatures. Most of us back closer to where we should be this time of year when we compare to historical averages. So the first impact system that gets maybe not widespread rainfall all the way down to us in far southern California, a lot of the impacts further north, but Tuesday, we'll start to see some of those showers working their way in for some of us. Here's your 5-day outlook along the coast. Temperature-wise, I mean, we go from the upper 70s Saturday and Sunday back down to 70 by the time we get to Tuesday. Further inland, this is a much more dramatic drop. 90 Saturday, 80 Monday, 73 by the time we get to your Tuesday. Our mountain outlook, well, we're in the 60s Friday and Saturday. We get back down to the 50s Monday and Tuesday. And then in our desert regions, well, 97, we have the thermometer Friday. Things are still just hot, right? That's all that's going on. But we get back down to the 80s by the time we get to our Tuesday. For KPBS News, I'm AccuWeather's Anna Azalian.
As the United States approaches the 250th anniversary of its founding, KPBS is looking back on significant moments in our history. Much of San Diego's early development as a city was tied to streetcars, small electric trains that ran on neighborhood streets. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen dug into why streetcars died out and how some are fighting to bring them back.
We're walking along University Avenue, which was once part of the existing streetcar network.
Michael Donovan lives in Hillcrest and thinks about San Diego's old streetcars all the time. He sees their legacy in the wide streets that streetcars needed to turn corners.
It's interesting with the construction that's going on in the street here. They're actually having to dig up the old streetcar tracks that were there.
The largest streetcar network in San Diego was run by the San Diego Electric Railway Company. It was founded in 1891. At its peak, you could ride streetcars to Balboa Park, Mission Hills, North Park, Normal Heights, and Golden Hill, even to the beaches.
You have the red line here, which actually is the same route that the blue line trolley now takes. And you'll see that some of these other ones also follow the current trolley lines.
Donovan is a co-founder of Vibrant Uptown, a grassroots community group that's campaigning to bring back the streetcar to San Diego's urban core. The neighborhoods built around the streetcar are already denser and more walkable than the rest of San Diego, he says, and there are new apartments going up just about everywhere you look here.
We don't have room for all the cars that are going to be here as we continue to build out these neighborhoods. So we need an option. It's not to replace cars, but it is to give us an option where you can fit 100 people in the space of a streetcar, as opposed to the amount of traffic it would take for 100 people in cars.
Yeah, well, they really started out as a way to develop the real estate of cities.
Ethan Elkind is the Climate Program Director at the Center for Law, Energy, and the Environment at UC Berkeley. He says streetcars were the dominant urban transportation mode for many American cities in the early 20th century. Unlike the public transit we know today, streetcars were typically run by for-profit companies.
Real estate developers wanted to sell land, and a good way to boost the value of land was to build their own private streetcar systems, and that helped boost the price, and then they could sell the lots, and then people would just commute into where their jobs were, usually in the city centers, by riding these privately funded streetcars.
Elkind says as the automobile became more widely available, streetcars got slower and were often stuck in traffic. He says the streetcar's collapse was mainly due to an unsustainable business model.
Once the real estate was sold off, there was no longer an economic incentive for these companies to continue operating the transit systems. In most cases, they sort of went to the local governments and said, all right, we're losing money on this system, and will you step in and rescue the system and now subsidize it and pay for it?
That did not happen in San Diego. The last streetcar ride here was in 1949. Michael Donovan says almost 80 years later, the time is right for a streetcar revival.
Just because we changed something doesn't mean it was the right decision at the time.
The county's long-term transportation plans include a new streetcar that would encircle Balboa Park, but it's not envisioned until 2050. Donovan says Hillcrest and the surrounding neighborhoods can't wait that long.
We're going to get 50,000 new people in this neighborhood. We're not going to get 50,000 cars in this neighborhood. So maybe it's time to rethink and learn from what we did in the past and revive the streetcars that we once had through neighborhoods that were originally designed for them. So I think that's a great way to celebrate the history that we've made over the last 250 years.
Vibrant Uptown has won endorsements for the streetcar's return from community planning groups and the mayor. Right now, they're looking for $500,000 to fund a planning study that would look at possible routes and funding options. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
You can look for tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Enjoy your evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.